Now that I have the cupboards all painted, as well as a whole lot of other stuff painted, I can get into the propane hookups, which I need to sort out before I can install the fridge and stove and such. So let me show you what I got going on with that. The fridge goes in this big hole. Oops, bumping into my little stool. So this is the fridge cavity, which I have had the fridge sitting in there since last fall, but on Saturday I had my son help me lift it out and put it over here on the middle of the floor. And one of the reasons for that is, there's a couple reasons. One is it's hinged in the wrong direction. They all send them from the factory hinged this way, or at least this company. And it can all be converted though to swing the other way, and you have to have it removed to do that because there's fasteners up on top here and stuff. I think it's under this stuff. Anyway, so that's one reason, is I have to reverse the hinging of the door. The other reason, and the really important reason, is, so my plan is, this is a flex line coming from the transom where the propane tanks are, and it runs up through behind the cupboards and comes up here. And then I'm going to mount a distribution block, which I have sitting right here on the bench. This little block here, it's got 4 ports. I'm going to mount that somewhere down in this area here. And then from there I have to feed the fridge, the stove, and the barbecue that'll be up mounted on the railing on the roof. And I will have access to all this through this grill, but today it would be a whole lot easier to work on this with the fridge out of the way and easy access. So I'm going to get that all sorted out. And yeah, I mentioned about now that painting is done. So I'm going to run a line up across the top of the cupboards and then out through that hole to the outdoors, which is right up there. And then I'm going to have a quick connect up there under the roof that will be the hookup for the propane barbecue. So when I want to remove it, for instance for trailering, it can't be up there for that. I can just undo the quick connect. So yeah, time to get into, oh yes, and so yeah, I went crazy last winter in Florida. The prices on Amazon.com were way better than the exchange rate than buying this stuff on Amazon.ca in Canada. So yeah, this is the line to get up to the barbecue and the quick connect and stuff. And I've got a solenoid. I'll explain it all. Maybe after I get it all installed, I'll explain kind of what the system does. So what do we have going on here? This is in the back of the fridge opening and accessible from the outside by way of that louvered vent there, which is removable. It's obviously not terribly accessible, but you could at least do some preliminary troubleshooting, and worst case you could unscrew the fridge and pull it out of the hole. So what I have, this is a distribution block, and so this line coming around in here and up is the line from the tanks at the back of the boat, and then this one out here will hook into the back of the fridge, and this stainless braided one there goes on up out of the fridge opening, and yes, it's clear of all the coils and everything, so it's tucked in out of the way, across behind the microwave, across the top of the cupboards, and then out under the roof overhang, and the barbecue will be up there on the railing. So that gets that to there. I still have to do the barbecue, but that's all outdoors. And then the stove, so I have a solenoid here that my concern with the stove is it's an RV stove, so if anyone ever bumped the a burner control knob, whatever, and turned it on but didn't light the burner, it would be pumping propane into the boat, and that could be terrible. So a couple things I'm doing to try to make that not be a dangerous situation. The main one is I have the solenoid, and so it only allows gas to pass if it's energized and its natural resting state is closed. And then I've put this timer. It's your old-fashioned fan timer that's just a spring wound timer. It's not electrically controlled or anything. And so when you turn that timer on, that will energize the solenoid and allow gas to go to the stove so you can light it. And so it's a maximum 60 minutes, and hopefully you're around and that's all good. The other thing I'm doing is right down here in this panel below the stove, this hole is for the wires for a propane fume detector, which will be directly under the stove, and I'm going to enclose this whole area and put the propane connections on this side of the enclosure. There's a gap under the stove, so any propane that could leak into the air, either from a gas leak or whatever, first place it's going to go is right down onto the propane detector. So I'm hoping between those two things that I'll make this a safe situation. Propane's a bit iffy anytime. It's natural gas propane. Every once in a while something horrible happens, so I want to do everything I can to make that not be a problem. So yeah, this is the line for the stove, and it plugs in right in the back corner here, and it'll, once I make this enclosure, I'll pass it through, and that'll be that. So I think I've done a good job of trying to make it safe and accessible if needed. Yeah, that's the propane system. I just switched the hinging of the fridge door from right hinge to left hinge, and it was pretty straightforward. Now the instructions in the owner's manual are pretty decent, but the one thing, and I run into it occasionally, where so there's a trim panel that goes across here that you pop off this side and move over to this side, and all it says is remove the panel. It doesn't say pull hard, or it doesn't give you any guidance at all. It just says remove the panel and then flip it over and reinstall it. And I watched some YouTube videos, and there's a bit of conversation about changing doors, but nowhere did I find one that actually gave you any insight. So finally I just decided it must just be a case of pull and it'll come off. But I'm just always afraid I'm going to snap something. It's like, what if I'm pulling at the wrong end, or who knows what. But yeah, so it ends up, here's the panel. It's got a little clip there and another one over there, and they go in that hole and that hole. And yeah, you just get a screwdriver behind it or a grip on it and give it a good hard pull, and it pops out of there. But I just couldn't find anyone to tell me that, so I thought I'll tell you. One more thing I just did for the fridge is you're supposed to put kind of a deflector up at the top, so the warm air that runs up the back of the fridge from the bottom vent to the top vent doesn't kind of swirl over the top of the fridge. It just goes out. So I just put that panel up there. The fridge will slide under it with about a 1/4 inch clearance. I expect over time gravity will, that board will droop down until it seals even better. And so yeah, this fridge is all ready to slide in. And another little job I just did is I put the range hood on. That's above where the range will be. And yeah, I didn't really want a range hood. We never use one. We don't tend to smoke up our kitchen or anything, but I basically had to, because I don't know why I'm looking at the box for the range hood, but yeah, when the range is in that opening, the requirement for distance above the range to combustibles is something like 30 inches, and I think that cupboard's about 27. So the cupboard would have to be higher, except it's the microwave, and the microwave is that size, so it couldn't be higher. But if you put a range hood in, then that number drops down to 24 inches, and well, like I say, we're 27, so it's all good. So range hood it is. And there's the top deflector I put in, and how it just slides above the top of the fridge, or the fridge just slides under it. So yeah, this is the top vent where the warm air from running up behind the fridge will get out to the outdoors. Here's the back access, outdoor grill access to the back of the fridge, and I have the gas line connected and tightened, the 12-volt wiring, which is this orange and white here, onto the main board, and the plug plugged in. The breaker's off right now. The 12 volt isn't hooked at the far end, so I don't believe the fridge will run without that 12 volt working, so I'm not even going to try right now. But here's all my solenoid and gas lines here. Not easy access and everything, but at least you can see if everything looks okay and whatever. And if it's more serious, I guess it'd be time to slide the fridge out and get easy access. So hopefully when I juice everything up, it works. I just had to do a scary modification to the cupboards. This is the opening, the hole for the microwave, and there's I had to take my sawzall and cut across the top. It was too close to the ceiling for my saber saw, and a whole lot could have gone wrong. Either one slip of the blade, scuff the ceiling, just rattle this, and you know, this is all finished painted, and break that free. But thankfully nothing went wrong. The reason I had to do it is the built-in kit for the microwave. It's got this grill assembly, and it lets air go in under the microwave in the bottom here. And then up top here, it's got this little metal deflector thingy, so the vents out of the top of the microwave, it forces the air back out through the grill in the front. And I would love to say there was something wrong with the instructions or whatever, but no, this one's all on me. I had taken all the measurements originally and had the instructions and figured out how everything had to be, but when it came time to put that top essentially 1x2 across, I didn't check the instructions, and I left myself with an opening of 13 inches from here to here, and the instructions say you need 13 3/8. And they're not kidding. So, anyway, now it should go in. We tried once and thud. Okay, not right. And after that modification to my opening, we have a microwave. It's tucked in pretty tight to the ceiling. I really wanted to keep everything as high as I could above the cooktop to make it safe and, you know, legal as far as their requirements are. And so yeah, now we have a microwave up here, and it's even like powered up, and it would, you know, we could make popcorn. I should mention today is July 1st, which is Canada's birthday. So happy birthday, Canada. I think it's possibly 158 years old. I'm not positive, but I think it might be that. It's also a cool day for another reason. This morning I went online and I licensed our boat. Now the process isn't finished. I uploaded a bunch of you know, photos and information, and they'll approve it and finalize it, but they've already issued me a license number, so we would actually be legal to be cruising up the waterways with our temporary permit. However, we're not quite ready for that yet, but it's Canada's birthday, and I guess as far as licensing goes, July 1st will be our boat's birthday as well.